Alrighty, I'd like to welcome everybody to the April 3rd, 2023 Jenkins City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Ernestine.
Here.
Chuck. Sean.
Here.
Rick.
Here.
Sammy. Gordon.
Here. Alright, y'all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, in your packet you have the minutes from the March meeting. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Also in your packets you have the March financial report.
The East Kentucky Safe Grant, is that something you just got this month, or the opiates?
No, East Kentucky Safe money is money that the state's helping us with the disaster with. It falls under certain guidelines of things we can use as for a cost share or different pieces. It helps us from having to borrow money right now until we get all of our projects in line. It could also help us pay our share of some of the cost. Some of it's 100% funded, some of it's 75-25, and there's a match. So it's in there until we get all these projects in line and set. And we'll talk about that more when we do the ERCS report. If nothing, I'd entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Motion second to approve financial report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alrighty. Scott, you want to go over the Kentucky River Area Development District?
Yes, sir. Just a few announcements on Crad's end. The wastewater treatment improvement for Emler has been is ready to be submitted, just waiting to be reviewed. We are waiting to hear back from CDVG on the City Hall being brought up to ADA standards. And the SHIFT project for Letcher County has been sponsored.
Okay. The Area Development District is extremely busy right now. I don't think there's anybody in their staff that we don't talk to about one project or the other, so we appreciate all their hard work and what they're doing to fill in the blanks, not only all the normal grants and funding that we seek in everyday accounts, we're after all the other stuff that goes with the disaster. So a lot of the hard work going on there. So appreciate Scott coming up and all the work Crad does. Scott, if you want to hang around, you can, but if you need to get out of here, that's understandable. Okay, engineer report. Let's see what we got. Most of the same things. Okay. The I-9 Phase 1, we've got it, funding's pending, but all the work's in, and so hopefully we'll get some announcements on it before long. We took almost $80,000 worth of clean water money and matched another $400,000 to go into trying to work on some I-9 improvements. The water system's doing pretty good right now, but we still have issues with inflow making it to the sewer plant. So hopefully we can identify some more of those problems and figure out how to fix them. Flood recovery, house assistance development, Nesbitt's been big in helping us identify areas, lay out some preliminary water and sewer projects to go to those areas, and. 'Cause. 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 'C wastewater treatment plant corrective action plan, that's ongoing. We also got another award, you may have seen on the news, $153,000 to help with that, and that's just trying to, we get two clarifiers going, one goes down, and we have to fix the other one, so that's where we're at. So last 2 months, we've had $11,000 speed reducer go down, we've had another $17,000 pump go down. It's all wore out. We are seeking funding to completely redo the plant, but that may be a ways off, but that's another use of the clean water money that we were able to get from the Department of Local Government through the governor. 805, this project's still alive. It comes and goes. We talk about Bridging Kentucky to help do the bridges, and we're trying to figure out how to keep it moving. But so far, it's on the list. It was one of the projects through SHIP that we prioritized, along with the 119 alignment through the industrial park to better prepare for what's coming that way. The Raven Rock Water Sewer Extensions, that's a profile we submitted for community funding. Try not to say earmark, but I just said it. So anyway, it's funding we're trying to get water and sewer lines up to that Raven Rock project to keep it moving forward too. Water treatment plant rehab is what we already talked about. Stormwater, we're looking and working hard. We knew about our stormwater problems before the flood, but it really came to light after the floods that we've got a lot of stuff that needs to be upsized and worked on. So I was out today for almost 10 hours with FEMA inspectors, and in their teams they have mitigation people that comes with them that helps us look at head walls and upsizing and getting ideas what we need to do. So everything we're doing, we're working stormwater improvements into it, not only just to get the stormwater where it needs to be, but help protect the roads, because if we paid everything back in the morning, over a year's time, the stormwater is going to deteriorate and take it right back out. So we're trying real hard to make sure we do that right. The dam improvements, we've got 3 or 4 different things going with that. We've still got a brick grant in for that. Also through FEMA, they had some suggestions on some mitigation measures to try to help improve the surface of the dam and some other things. We're working through that to see if that pans out with them. We did have our first visit from the Army Corps of Engineers to look at the dam and that project as a whole for a study. Of course, the study takes a while, and there's a pretty good size match goes with it. We're trying to work out the match right now. But hopefully, if we can get them to take up the study, if these other grants are not successful, that may open up some federal money to help us make the needed repairs. And one thing being to be able to draw the lake down before a storm, to be able to hold back some of that water and then let it out a little at a time, instead of just the water hits it, goes over top of it and down the creek. So we're looking at it as a flood measure too. So Kentucky 23 and Joe's Branch water lines, we're looking at 2 different ways of trying to get water back to 23 from Joe's Branch back toward town, or from 805 back up 23 for some possible development along 23. And that's pretty much it for that. So down to ER assist. Yep. Like I said, we had about a 10-hour visit with 5 inspectors today, looking at everything from roads to culverts to mitigation. And one of the things they talk about is in some of these slips and slides. And I learned today that a slip is below the road, a slide is above the road. They deal with slips. No, they deal with slides, not slips. So we learn something every day. But they were in here all day. We almost got done. We got done with 2 of our DIs, but we've got 1 more to finish tomorrow. So it's not all the way complete, but hopefully tomorrow we'll finish us up. We'll have 1 round. We have to sign off and agree to everything that they've sort of looked at. So between us looking at it, ERSIS looking at it, engineers looking at it, and FEMA looking at it, we try to get the best project that they will approve. Ultimately, it's what they approve is what we can be able to do. Mitigation can be up to 105%. So if you've got a $100,000 project, you can apply for $105,000 of mitigation measures, which means to upsize pipe, add head walls, whatever we can do to make to make it less likely to have damage in another event. Little Camden, after all was turned in, we've got a manhole down there that's starting to turn sideways, and I think it was washed out during the flood. It's just starting to settle, so that's a new one we're trying to get approved. If we can't do that, we'll apply for some EK Safe money to hopefully get that one level back up. It's working but not right, and we need to get that fixed. We've got several of these projects. We've only got 2 back so far that sort of set with some kind of budget. And here in a minute, I'm going to ask you all to approve that we let some bids for some contractors to be ready for when these projects are shown to be good, solid projects with solid numbers, and we know what we've got to do going forward. We can work on stuff and fix it, and we may do more than what they'll allow. We may do less than what they allow, but we're working real hard to get solid projects with solid figures, so we're not just bouncing back and forth to where we can get started with the contractors. And then the last line is just what we're talking about. We want to go ahead and request for some proposals, and that'll be on the blacktop and the road work, and then the sediment pond above the lake. We've got to get it cleaned out. It's washing into the lake, so that's what that'll be for. If anybody's got any questions on all that, I'll try my best to answer it. It's a process. It's a long process. But being out in town and talking to people in the hollows, they've all had patience, and I appreciate it. We're working hard on getting everything fixed. I'd love for everything to be blacktopped all at once, but to make sure what we put back last, we're going to have to make sure we deal with the drainage problem as best we can. So that being said, if y'all don't care, I'd just like to have a motion for us to go ahead and advertise for requests for proposals for bids on the roads and the sediment pond.
So is that for the asphalt that we're...
Yeah, that's so we can have a contractor in place so when we get this ready to go. Everything we do, we have to procure, we have to vet them and then make sure that we've got the right contractor. But that way, once FEMA comes back and says, here's your project, here's the number, and we know what we're looking at, whether we have to borrow money in between or use EK Safe money, then we can go ahead and get them to work. So it's just to place them and get them going.
What specs will you put in the bid?
What FEMA comes up with, it'll be certain areas. Like what's happened today is we went and looked at roads. So you've got a bad spot down this side of the road, you've got a little spot here, and then it goes this way. They sort of average the whole road out as length, width, 3 inches of blacktop, but they may just allow 6 foot for that part of the road or 5 foot for that part of the road. They won't pay to put everything back if you've got a good piece of blacktop. That's not what we was hoping for, but that's what we got. But with the right contractor, I think we can make it work to where we can put everything back in pretty good shape and in a way that'll hold.
What roads did they look at?
We looked at 7 today. I could name them, and there's 7 or 8 more that we have to look at. It's just all over. We have to prove flood damage, so we can't just go and say, well, there's a bad spot in the road. They have to see that it looks like that something went on.
Did they look at Dunham?
Not yet. That's tomorrow should be, yeah. I've showed them places where blacktop has come up in sheets and then laid down and then come up and set down. And if you all want to see that out back City Hall, there's 2 stacks of it. And it's hard for people that don't live in the mountains to understand how the water can do that. But now it picked up sheets of blacktop and set it down in other areas. So
I've actually seen it lifted up and put another piece under it in certain areas.
yeah, well, I showed them a piece where it's dimpled from underneath, and I still don't understand how that works, but it just looks like somebody underneath it was shooting with a shotgun. And I showed them one of them today, so we never seen that. So it wasn't on a storm-affected piece of road; it was on a driveway, really. But anyway, if y'all would care to make a motion to advertise for request for proposal.
2 separate ones.
No, one will do it. We can advertise both. Then we'll be approving who we use later when we get those in and get them graded.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to advertise for bids for road repairs
And sediment pond.
and then the sediment pond.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, most of the time I skip right past him, but Jim, I remember today. You want to do your police report?
Just real quick on this stuff. Justin is out on midnights now. lot of people have said he's out there stopping everything coming and going. Here's the deal with that. He has been out on a shift when we normally haven't had anybody out because of the flood or low manpower and stuff like that. So people aren't used to seeing somebody out at that time, so they're running the stop signs, they're speeding through town thinking there's nobody around. I put in our report of we issued 44 citations, had 71 complaints, but he also issued 216 verbal warnings for things. So he's not writing everybody, he's just getting to know people and taking care of business, and they're just not used to having people out. Another thing I want to get up with real quick is we need to start thinking about this ATV thing, because with the weather coming up, we've already had a few things going on in Mudtown where I've had to get on some people, so we need to make some kind of conclusion on that before the summer months get here.
Already. Council have anything tonight? No, wait a minute, that's a resolution. I knew I was going to pass it, I hadn't read. The Municipal Road Aid Co-op, where we're involved in the emergency, and more or less what it is, they keep, I think, 3%, but in that 3%, we're eligible if we have something, not necessarily in a storm, but say we have a slide that's not involved in a storm or something major go to the road, we can apply for emergency aid through them to help pay for it and not us have to cover 100% of the cost. It's a little less money coming in quarterly when it comes in, but it does open us up to a whole other pot of money that we would have to go borrow money probably to do something with if we have some kind of emergency. We've not used it lately, but years ago they used it to put a wall up in number 4 hollow that the road started sliding. It ended up being about a $12,000 project that they helped pay for, that we would have to come up with all of it out of our road fund, which could wipe the road fund out. So, I don't know if you want to read the resolution.
Resolution incorporated the City of Jenkins resolution adopting and approving the execution of a municipal aid co-op program contract between the incorporated city, Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, as provided in the Kentucky Revised Statutes, and accepting all streets referred to therein as main streets, which are a part of the incorporated city. Be it resolved by the legislative body of the incorporated city that the legislative body of the incorporated city does hereby accept all streets referred to in the contract as being city streets, which are a part of the incorporated city. And the legislative body of the incorporated city does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said contract, and does hereby accept said contract by such acceptance agree to all the terms and conditions therein stated. And the Chief Executive Officer of said incorporated city is hereby authorized and directed to sign said contract as set forth on behalf of the legislative body of, and the City Clerk of Jenkins is hereby authorized and directed to certify thereto. The vote taken on said resolution, the results being as followed, under ayes and under nays, so indicated. Commonwealth of Kentucky Incorporated, City of Jenkins. I, blank, City Clerk of Jenkins, certify that the foregoing is a true copy of the order above given by hand and seal of office as blank day blank 2023 signed Clerk of Jenkins.
Alrighty, need a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Have a motion second, all in favor say aye. Any opposed by nay? All eight. Alrighty, we'll get that back to them. Now, I just about forgot Jeffrey. I got to talking and going on. He's director of Pine Mountain Partnership, which we are a part of, and I think the flood duty is lightening up, and he's got even deeper into the economic development and other pieces. He may have something to talk about.
I had this pulled up, there it is. I wanted to share first an update on the Reagan-Rock project. It is a community project funding letter. I tried to say that. So it's through HUD, their grants for the Economic Development Initiative. So we applied for and received $2.5 million on the trails, the actual trails of the Red Rock property. So we've been talking to a consultant, we've not hired the consultant yet, talking to one out of Boone, North Carolina, that specializes in this kind of stuff. He's worked on several of those projects in Boone and the Blowing Rock area. So he thinks we can get up to 60 miles of trails on that property. Our original idea was just going to use the logging roads that were already there. We've been advised that that's a terrible decision, that the real bikers don't want roads, they want difficult trails cut specifically for them, so that's the route we're going to take. We don't want it to be bypassed because it's the easy way out. We want to make it a destination. And if we can get over the 50-mile mark, we can be certified and sanctioned by the International Mountain Bike Federation. So we can be put on their circuit. They'll put on events, travel around. It'll be a huge benefit to the city of Jenkins. I really believe that. Add a lot of dollars to the city in form of if there's a transient tax for some overnight stays. The cabin portion of the property is a little bit further down the road. We applied for $4.5 million. We got granted $1.7 million of that money. So we're going to apply again for the 4.5, and that'll build the conference center and basically the base camp for everything. We're going to use the 1.7 to widen the road a little bit and make it a little more easy to pass, gravel it, and eventually blacktop it. But right now, make it as easy as possible to get into and out of the property, to open it up in some capacity relatively soon. Whenever I say relatively soon, I mean government soon, not what we think is soon. So we're going to apply shortly for the 4.5 again. We've been encouraged to apply for the 4.5 again, so we're going to do that. There were some circumstances that money got split between a couple projects in the last round. So we're confident we'll get the full 4.5 in the next round. And that's an AMLR program. This $2.5 million is from HUD at the federal level. So 2 different pots of money we're going after there. Another thing is we got some recruiting trips planned, industrial recruiting trips. So I think maybe 5 of those. I'm still trying to decide. One is relatively close. It's a quick turnaround, but that's the international. I learned there's a trade show for everything. The International Council of Shopping Centers, and that's out in Vegas. That's their largest conference. Real estate developers from all over the country go. So I'm going to try to go to that one. It's quick, so I'll see if there's any space left to try to go to that one. And then there's an aerospace show. That one's in Vegas. There's a metal fabrication show in Chicago. And then the Southeast Economic Development Corporation, which is the regional, when I say regional, multi-state region economic development organization that focuses on the Southeast United States. They're hosting a meet and greet kind of thing with site selectors in Atlanta. And then I think there's one more show in Florida or Atlanta, one of the two. And I think it's Atlanta, it's composites. So like, whenever you think composites, think plastics, thermal molding, that kind of thing. So hitting a few different industry sectors. We'll see how valuable it is. We're partnering up with One East Kentucky to go on those trips. And economic development and industrial recruitment is very much a pay-to-play kind of thing, I've learned. So they have a consultant that gets information from companies that are seeking to relocate or to expand their operations, add another manufacturing facility, any of that type of stuff. That consultant then will set up a one-on-one meeting, but they're $1,200 each to get the meetings. So the more money you have to spend, the more companies you can get in front of. They're partnering on splitting the cost of any of those one-on-one meetings that I like to go to. So that's a huge deal. Their new president and CEO, Colby Kirk, has done a fantastic job. He's got 90 recruiting trips planned this year. They have a 9-county region, so I'd name them, but I can't. Anywhere, Pike County all the way to Perry County, wherever in between. So it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, there's no promise that a project will land, but they definitely won't if somebody's not out there getting in front of people. So I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. That's all I've got.
Well, we appreciate it, and again, even though all this stuff's going on, flood recovery and survivors is still a big thing. All our meetings, we're involved in that, trying to see what the next move is. We know what the next move is, and we're working on that. You heard about the $290-some million that was set aside for the disaster. For us getting our share of it for Letcher County, that's what we're working on now. And I won't bore you with the details, but there's a lot involved to getting the right people in place to make sure that we take full advantage of what's going on. So not only will that help with economic development, that also helps with getting survivors in permanent housing in higher ground in the different communities that we're looking at. So that's all moving in the right direction, and there's a lot of stuff I'd like to talk about right now, but there'll be announcements along the way to let that out to what's going on. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes on this recovery and higher ground projects we're working on. So
I've got a question. This $2.5 million, I was under the impression that part of that money was already earmarked, or like you said, you didn't want to use that word, was already set aside for the water and sewer to go on top of it.
That $2.5 million can only be used on the trails. There's a different application for water and sewer.
And it hasn't been approved yet?
it's in the next round.
That
It's a different round. This round was from last year, and this was approved.
Yeah, I was under the impression that part had already been approved.
Yeah, that's not me. I don't know.
That application went in about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It was sort of opportunity for, we had projects in for water and sewer for up there, but we were asked to apply for water and sewer for this one. Anybody else got any questions for Jeffrey? Council in general got anything they want to?
I do. I had some complaints about, in the Mudtown area, about some of the houses that were...
About you ain't telling me nothing. I just come through there again a while ago.
And
Jim
so I
has been-
drove through there, and there's some nice homes up there, and I have to live in the midst of that is really, it was real disheartening for me to see that people will not clean around their own homes. I mean, and is there anything that can be done?
Jim has made some contact with them, but I think it's
Can
getting
you
ready.
find people for that?
Well, that's our next move.
We're gonna have to look into doing that, because obviously just going and saying, hey, listen, please help us out here isn't
Yeah,
gonna work.
it's not going to work. I mean, they're not doing it, and people have come to me before, and so I drove through there again, and I thought, oh my God, you know.
And it's not like we're not trying to help these guys out. It's just,
Exactly.
Listen, we don't wanna fine you. but
Exactly.
We need to get this taken care of, and they just pull it off. So
Yeah, I mean, there's just trash. It's just unbelievable. I don't know what I do. Should I live around something like that? But
Yeah, we
there has to
need,
be some incentive to make them clean it up.
you hear that, Jim?
Absolutely. I mean, like, we've given them plenty of chances, and told them so.
I mean, I think it's time to start writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
As Geraldine used to say, it's time to citate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Say,
think it's time to start writing.
some of these potholes,
co-patch is about $4,200 a load right now. So we'll be working that way, and we've got all the roads this side, now we gotta look at that way. Big thing is if you patch it back and they come out and look at it and say, okay, well, that wasn't that bad a shape, well, show me the damage. That's their thing today, show me the damage, which we could show them most of the damage, but then they come back and say, okay, this half the road we believe, this half the road we don't believe, and we just have to work with it. But yeah, that's definitely what. We were working on cold patching, but when it's cold, you can't pry it out and you can't beat it in the hole. So hopefully now, my goal is by August, and I know that sounds like a long way off, but before you know it, is to have projects nailed down, firm figures, contractors ready, and stuff moving. So hopefully by then there'll be a whole lot of stuff that gets moving. Now remember, every road wasn't disaster related, so we had some money put back that you all allowed me to move through ARPA into the road fund to work on it. So now we have to get the contractor, but then we have to be real careful about which road we work on and what's logged in as what we're doing and what's logged in as what's part of the disaster repair part of it. So all that's in place.
There's something else I thought that was mentioned to me. The Oak Street behind me, directly in front of Jason Witt's house there's a sewer issue there. I don't know what it is, but different times of the day, the smell is horrendous. And of course, as it starts warming up, you start getting it more. And I don't know what the problem is there, but they're having a real problem with that.
Okay. From the road or from the house?
They're out of the sewer, the manhole there.
Okay.
And it's done that like last year.
Yeah, every year when you've got warm and cold spells, it builds sewer gas. That's why you have traps on your houses so you don't smell in your houses. But sometimes if it's around the manhole, we can put a full manhole or try to seal it or something. But
it's been a problem.
so it's not sewer running, it's just
No, there's no running sewer. It's just a terrible.
When you get to a steady warm or a steady cool, it's not that bad, but some reason the difference in temperatures.
In the summer, it's always really bad up there, and it's just at the edge of that property there. It's some of that new that was put in years ago, that there's an issue.
Yeah, maybe as simple as a manhole. We'll be able to seal it. I mean, you can't stop sewer gas, but we can try to figure out how to keep it from coming out. And along the lines of what she just said, people clean up. Don't wait till Jim comes and writes you a ticket. If the dog's gotten your garbage, it's still got your garbage. We can help try to get the dog kept put up. But going around with the inspectors today and driving by it, and it really embarrassed me that we had to take folks that's from Pittsburgh and Boston and other places are trying to help us see what they saw. And we can help you get some garbage bags or something. But
did they go through Mud Dam?
yes.
Oh my Jesus.
So. But like I said, Jim, we've talked and he's talked to them, and they'll make a little bit of headway or they'll move it around or stack it up or try to do something, but they're...
Well, is this flood related or is it just...
No, this is yarn is what it is. It's just they throw it out on the side.
We've been dealing with this for quite a while, and then like Mayor says, they'll clean up and then just go back to the same thing. Or the excuse is that the dogs will get into it.
No,
It's
the garbage bag's cheaper than a citation?
You would think
Yeah,
so.
they are, but just know that's where we're at. I mean, it's just pick it up. We've helped pick up. We've talked and try to be nice about it. Since we're on garbage, I'll be scheduling a work session to deal with 3 or 4 issues that we're going to have to really look at. One of them being, I'm sure you know that the tipping fees that we pay have increased from $50 to $75. I've looked at it before. With the last 2 times there was an increase, we were able to just let it ride and we were still not losing money. But this time we're not going to be able to eat it and go on. So we're looking at commercial customers, residential customers, trying to see what we're picking up, where the weight is, and where we need to be with it to be fair with the whole thing. So once we get that together, that'll be part of the work session. So we're gathering all that up right now.
What about the possibility of going back to recycling paper and plastic?
Well, when COVID hit and they shut the recycling center down, we were in a perfect opportunity to way what we had in the recycling trailer. So everything we could get in the recycling trailer, they took to the recycling center, they'd shut down, so we had to take it to the transfer station. And it cost us $14. So handling it twice and filling it full would save us $14. That was at $50, so it saved us a little bit more. It costs more to handle it, get it separated, and take it. So we have to take it to Cowan to the recycling center. They don't pick up anymore. I would love to recycle everything. I wish we could compost and do all we need to do to get the weight off of it. But just for the man hours and the amount of weight you save, it doesn't work out. They don't do it Wise. I had people from Wise call, I don't know if they could bring the recyclables to Jenkins. And we can't because it's not feasible. It's not feasible. It just not right now. Now they're working on more stuff. The Division of Solid Waste is trying to work on some things to make it easier to recycle. The ultimate problem is everything we took down there, they probably didn't use a tenth of it in recycling. The rest of it got thrown away anyway. Pizza boxes, if the grease is on that side of cardboard, they don't use it because there's certain very specific pieces of plastic they'll use. The market's not there anymore as far as what they use. So we would love to recycle. And hopefully there'll be a point where we can get back into that and it would make sense, because if it saved us 2 tons a month, that'd be $150 now. But everything in that trailer they could get and what they took down that day was $14 at $50 a ton. So it'd be a little bit more now. But the time we pick it up, bring it up there, and then what people bring into the trailer, that's how much we saved on one load out of the trailer. Alrighty, I've sort of given my report along the way. Me reemphasize we love to see, we're trying to come out of this deal. We're trying to build back better. There's a lot of folks in town like these inspectors and people that's coming, people that come to visit the industrial sites. They don't call and tell Jeffrey they're coming. They don't call and tell me they're coming sometimes. They rent a plane or come in a plane to Bristol. They rent a car and they drive to the industrial park. And they drive through the neighborhoods and they drive by the schools to see where they want to go. So everything everybody's been wanting, if you'll help us keep it picked up and cleaned up, it may help the chances of that happening. So that's
Where do we stand on some of these houses? I know we had a whole bunch before the flood hit, and the flood added a whole bunch more that needs to be torn down. And that process needs to be expedited some way.
Yeah, the 2 we've got set right now that we've got right of entry to get on the property is the one in Mudtown and the one up Pine Lane.
I'm glad to see the one over here.
Yeah, they did, and he did a really good job.
Oh, it's really good.
I think he worked way longer than he intended to, but anyway, he hauled dirt and planted grass, and it looks good, and that's the way we need to be. So those 2 are set, and then we've got 7 or 8 more that once we get them to the point we can turn them down, we'll be looking at turning them down. Of course, we're right back to that weight of that house to $50 a ton to get rid of. Now we're at $75 a ton to get rid of. So